So you have studied electrical engineering at the Mannheim University of Applied Sciences in Germany. Why did you choose to pursue a path of electrical engineering as your primary field of studies? I'm sure there are many reasons as to why.
Yeah, I was, as I said before, I was very good in mathematics and physics. So there were two things I was considering: either theoretical physics or applied physics, mathematics. And I'm happy that I didn't go to the theoretical physics part, because even though I like research so much, it would have been too much theory. So I went to because I like these two fields, and in fourth year high school, I also went to one. It was electrical engineering competition. It was called Robomac in the Faculty of Electrical Engineering in Skopje. I was observer more than doer, but still we were doing one robot for one competition, where the robot had to follow one maze and find the pet for the fastest. For me, just being part of that and just being able to program a robot, it was like, oh my goodness, I program robots. It was like, this feeling like, I don't know, like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to program this robot for my life. And I took this robot with me. I swear it was like my home pet. I took it with me and I was looking at it. I was observing it and trying to understand stuff. I think this cute moment made me feel like, okay, maybe electrical engineering is for me, even though I was like, okay, is it the right thing? Because I like these two fields, but does it fit? And it turned out that it fitted very well. The only thing which I would add apart from science and mathematics or physics and mathematics is the programming part, which is very important in electrical engineering, but I learned that through the way. And so for me, electrical engineering was kind of like compromise between those two fields. So at the beginning, I wasn't 100% sure, but I knew I want to do research and I want to do some kind of like I don't know, like science research and so on. While I was studying, I was studying automation technology, but at the same time I was doing practical work. Like I was working as a student in one company where I still work, where I was programming embedded devices. Those are like sensors, which are put in factories and so on. And for me, I felt like I don't want to automate processes. I want to program sensors. I want to create sensors. And that's how it just continued, like the development process, let me call it, because it's electrical engineering is so broad word. It's not just one thing. An electrical engineer can become a computer scientist at the end. Electrical engineer can become, even by doing MBA or MBE, can become some product manager or some I don't know, CTO of some company. It's not so. It's a too broad area to be so I cannot just say it's just one thing, but this whole research plus development, in that case, a vibe which it gives me, I love it so much, because the research is interesting. Especially at work, I have been researching some areas where at the beginning, if you Google it, I was Googling it, I was not finding anything for them. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so exciting, because you just have one specification, one document, you write on Google that word and you're like, nothing comes out. Oh my God, what's that? Like, and that was for me so exciting that I wanted to stay in that field, in that research plus development, because afterwards, out of this document, you have to make a product. You're like, okay, what should I do now? Like, that's what excited me at the moment, that moment, and it excites me still until now. 2016, I was 23. I had my first job. 23, I think so. Wait. 18, I came here. 3 years for university. 3.5. Let me say 22, something like that. That was very amazing experience for me. I mean, I wanted to become independent, and I reached that on very young age, in my opinion. And that I did. I don't think I could have achieved that in Macedonia, where my parents were really keeping me like in a bubble. And of course, they'll do this because they love me. But I wouldn't have grown up so much, and I wouldn't have overcome many obstacles which I had, like if I was there the whole time. And also, what I like about Germany is that, at least in these countries where I have been until now, it's a multicultural environment. Of course, apart from the Germans and the Turkish people, which are like the majority of people, like I don't know how many percent, but um, still the so many people are coming here, and very often you find people from all over the world, especially in this. I'm living in Darmstadt, and before I was living in Mannheim, I was always encountering people who are from many different parts of the world, and that's what you like about this country. And that there are many people who come here because of the same intention like you, to grow, to research, to develop, and to find better jobs and so on. So it's a country which has hope in this context. You know, it's full with jobs, especially for engineers and doctors. That's like that's very known, and it's I find that I find it that they make a good, like, they provide good resources for people.
On that note, how did your exposure to an international environment in high school help establish the relations and communications with those people in Germany and on a global level?
I think it for sure helped me, because I felt like I'm going from one multicultural environment to another multicultural environment, and the transition was not so difficult in that area because I was already used to it. And apart from Nova, I was going on many NGOs back in the days, and going to many like seminars in this and that country. And I think I did not have limit for what, like, I did not have like opinion of what is good or what is bad, and I only saw the person, and that was it. And talking with person X or person Y from this country or from that country was never a problem. And having that experience in Nova, like being exposed to this international, like I don't know, environment, even from high school, made it feel for me very natural. And I never mingle. I don't know. Maybe that was bad from me, but I didn't even want to have many Macedonian friends here, because I was like, no, I want to talk in English. I want to talk in German. I want to feel international. I don't want to just talk in Macedonian the whole time.
Yeah, and I definitely applaud Nova for making its students global citizens, not just local citizens, because it is something that we all should value in this globalized society
Definitely.
where globalization prevails. And I think that is
Definitely, yeah.
really amazing.
It's becoming like a small village, right? It's like
Definitely.
yeah,
Everything seems so close, but
yeah.
yet it is far.
Definitely, yeah.
Uh,
And being open to this, it's something which Nova provides. Like, I think um, some people have problems accepting different cultures, different whatever there is, different types of people. But Nova taught us how to accept everyone, and how to be like compassionate and understanding towards difference.
Definitely. That is a key aspect that Nova emphasizes. And I am very glad that the things that you had as part of Nova in your educational process are still dominant today. So that is
Yes, me too. I mean, that shows the authenticity, really, right? It's like it didn't change, and that those are the key values. It's like it's amazing. Those are the most important, and they still have them. And I'm so happy for that.
so am I. So now I would like to ask you to tell us something more about the unique system of education in Germany, how it is structured, some insights to the educational system.
Yeah. Um, when I read the when I think about uniqueness in in the German system, it's definitely unique, and I didn't like that uniqueness at the beginning, because I was coming from a very, like, as I said at the beginning, critical thinking environment. You know, you were allowed to like write any answer, or like, I don't know, like, just be free, and be free in explaining yourself. When I came here, my first university year, um, I was having, you're given a script from the professor, and then you're given like exercises from the professor. But me, like, how am I? Like, I took the script and I saw that he was referring to two books, and instead of reading his script, I read the two books. And I knew how to derive everything possible. I knew how to, like, I knew, all of the depth which is coming from that. I go on the exam, and what I see, all of the exercise, and I didn't even know what's a data sheet. For me, you just have what you have in you, and you don't need a data sheet for anything. It's like very rarely did I use a data sheet. And I go on the exam, and he wanted us to write everything which was in the exercises, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not used to it. I'm used to like not having the same exercise, like exercise at the beginning and then at the same time afterwards in the exam. So my first experience was that, but the professor knew I was crazy in studying so much, but in the depth. So he gave me okay grade, so I passed it. But that taught me that in Germany, the system is the following. It has the professors give you the script, give you the exercises, give you like past exams, and you need to follow those rules. You cannot just go so much in your own fantasy, like trying to write your own like amazing answers. It's not necessary. Here it's like more like straightforward. For me, too straightforward and too linear. You know what I mean? It's like for people who want just straightforward way of education, it's amazing. But for me, I wanted to be more like full with colors. I wanted to be like to be able to express myself, to be able to write some I don't know, some different opinions. No, that's not possible, unfortunately. So whatever the professor says, that's what's true, and that bothered me at the beginning. But then I got used to it. So I said, okay, instead of bothering me, I will take it as my part of my horizon, like a part of like I will have to use learn how to pass exams also on this way, not just by critical thinking and just by learning the depth and understanding completely the material. But instead of that, I had to just know how to solve the formulas with the formulas which were given, and I was shocked. I mean, I was like, I have to just use this formula. What does this formula mean? And so that's where it hit me a little bit, because I was just having to I had to just use the formulas, but no go in the depth. But instead, at the end, what I did is that I knew how to solve their problems with those formulas that they give us, but also I was studying in depth those materials, like going in depth of these formulas and understanding what do they actually mean, and what is, but feeling them with all of your senses. And this the professors do not ask for. The professors ask that you know how to use it, and but they didn't ask for understanding it, for grasping those ideas. So that's why I'm not like I hope someone else has different opinion, but that's my opinion, that it's like a little bit like straightforward. But if once you know it, once you get along with it, or it becomes like you understand that point, that it's straightforward, that you have to follow what the professor wants, and then you do it, and it's not relevant that you understand so much in depth, then you're okay.
Mm.
But that's just a different. That's just a different educational system. The U.S. educational system is different. The German one is different, and I think it's just that's how they do it. I mean.
After college, you worked as an embedded engineer in Pepperl and Fuchs. I'm not sure if that I pronounced that German name right.
You pronounced it amazing. For an English pronunciation, it was amazing.
What was your working experience like there? Why did you choose to work there?
I still work there, and I started working in Pepperl and Fuchs since the 4th semester in studies, while I was studying, because I applied for one scholarship and I was accepted for that scholarship from them. And through this kind of like a small engagement through the scholarship, one like a small bridge connected from me to the companies, and that company on the other side waiting for me was Pepperl and Fuchs. And I got there like a student, like a like a student work, and during my studies, I had to do 1 semester of internship. So I did this internship there, and I also did my thesis there. But in between, I was working as well with them. So it was like, and while I was working as a student there, as I told you, they were giving me some very exciting projects. I was like, oh, if you give me this kind of stuff which I cannot Google, then please give me more. Like I'm so happy for this. So that continued further, and I'm so happy that still I'm working on those kind of like exciting topics. I was first working in the area of RFID identification systems. So building those, like if you want to open a door, you have this like a card, and then there is like a small sensor which reads out something. I was working on these sensors on the other side, not the card. And after that, I moved to one another group. It's called Industrial Communication Interfaces, and there I'm responsible for let me say a little bit futuristic industrial communication interfaces, which are part of this industrial Internet of Things revolution, which is going on at the moment, like digitalization of the whole factories, but in a making smart factories and so on. So these protocols, let me say, I love working in Pepper and Fuchs, and I find it nice that they realize that I like to investigate and to like research and not just development. I don't. There are people who just want development and that's it. I want to go a little bit further with like my like to fly in my head, to think about new ideas, to like move the company in that manner. And I think that I'm so happy they realize this and they allow me this. And not only this, but when a company sees that you have interest in other areas, they allow you to do this as well. For example, apart from working as an engineer, I also go sometimes to fairs, to student fairs, to help other students. And I'm working in this kind of like not company, but industry-wide working groups where they're defining standards. So they allow me this because they see that I'm interested into more than just the development of products. And that's what I like so much. Their openness to like to help you expand as your career-wise, your character.
Wonderful.
Yes.
How difficult is it to get a job in the field of electrical engineering today?
I mean, if you're asking in Corona times, I don't know. I think it's a little bit more difficult with hiring freezes. But if you're asking in normal cases when there is no Corona, then I think it's relatively easy. Of course, if you have like background in engineering or background in computer science, because as I said at the beginning, like if you want to be like I'm embedded engineer, if you want to be an embedded engineer, you can come from computer science area, but you can also come from electrical engineering. You can come from mechatronics with a little bit of programming. It's like it's not so it's flexible because the mindset which you're building up during your university years is just the mindset which you need so that you can progress in these areas. It's like their help in the university. That's my experience. You're building up the mindset, and then afterwards, because the technology progresses so fast, you're advancing. When I started working in Pepper and Fuchs, I didn't know so well so many programming languages. I came with a school knowledge of C and C++, and during my work, I learned how to really like to have a professional level of C++, JavaScript, Python. Now I'm learning TypeScript. It's like you are progressing with time, and what the companies want, in my opinion, is this is your engagement and your readiness to learn something new, because technology is going in a so fast tempo forward, especially with all of this new cloud stuff and so on. It's like in machine learning and artificial intelligence, it's going so too fast forward. And in order for you to be part of tomorrow, you have to be curious and ready to grow up and to grow further into and to advance into those technological areas, because the knowledge from today is not enough. That's 100% true, at least in my field. It's not enough. And so if the companies were hiring you based on only what you can do up until now, they're losing. If you're not a person who is not ready to change, who is a little bit like who is not ready to learn something new, then they didn't gain anything. You have to be flexible and ready to learn something new. And I think those are the features which are necessary. Of course, you'll not write them in a CV. You're not writing a CV, I'm curious for new technologies and so on. But when you go there, you should show this. And this gives this. I think this should be the the pre-requirement for people who apply. But in general, if you have this like readiness, I think that going inside electrical engineering waters is not so difficult.
I am actually honored to talk with someone who is part of the paradigm shift of the world, who is part of the changing and fast-paced technological advancing into a new sphere of existence. And I definitely have to say, I absolutely admire your existence for championing such ideas and such values.
Thank you so much.
Lastly, on a final note, what advice would you give to a Nova student interested in pursuing an educational endeavor and career in electrical engineering? Are there any tips and tricks as to how one can be successful in your area of expertise?
Yes. I mean, it's a little bit difficult for me to give advice because of the following thing. And that is, I think your generation is so much more like, so wants to do so much more than my generation, even though my generation was already like very enthusiastic and so on. You guys are like even more enthusiastic, want to reach even more, and on 16 have the first startups and so on. So I feel like it's difficult for me to give an advice, but I will try to. My advice is definitely during high school years to start learning some programming language. I remember when I was in Nova, I had web design, but I hope that until now, maybe even for Nova, that they have even more programming courses that will be very useful for not just for electrical engineers, but also for computer science, for even for data analysts, data science, and so on. It's very useful to know a programming language nowadays. And I hear many people changing. Like before short, I heard one lady who was a dancer and who changes now to programming. I was like, oh man, like the world nowadays needs technologically strong people and needs programmers. So I think studying some programming language in high school will be very useful, and that could be Python. Python is very broad and very useful, and JavaScript. JavaScript is more web development based, but still it's very, I find it very useful. On top of that, I think that if you want to like to go into engineering, you should have very good foundation in mathematics and physics, and that's why if you're AP, if you're doing AP classes, take AP Physics C and calculus. How was it? BC, I think it was called, like the two levels. Push yourself forward in those areas, because when you come to university, you will feel like you have already the foundation and you can focus on the more like on the engineering part. Because for me, what was missing when I started electrical engineering was the engineering part. I had very good foundation in mathematics and physics, but I didn't know engineering. So for me, it was like, okay, now I can focus just on engineering and don't focus so much on mathematics. If you're IB, I really don't know how it functions, but hopefully, I don't know, the other people will understand if I mention AP, that they understand that also in IB you need to have good mathematics and physics foundation. And the last thing which I will say, apart from, I said curiosity is also number one for me, like staying enthusiastic and curious in the world. That's for everyone. It's like it's an advice which I can say every day, like which I can give every day all day long. But the last one is what I mentioned about taking multiple APs, or I don't know how, in the IB program how it is exactly for AP. For Germany, as I said, some universities ask you to have 4, some 5 AP classes in order for you not to write other examinations. So in order for you to be more ready or not to have so much efforts in the university or before you start, do those AP classes now.
Okay, thank you for your advice and for your tips and tricks. And now I would like to conclude the interview with my thank you. Thank you for your time. It was wonderful meeting you. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sare, for doing this interview, and also for Nova and for Lazar Popivanov for organizing all this amazing initiative about like asking people who already finished like for advices for to give advices to students of nowadays, because I think that every one of us, we have a good platform. Nova was an amazing platform from which all of us could choose their own way, and every one of us has a very individual way and a very individual choice. And having these experiences will open up the perspective and the horizon for new students to know that a lot is possible and that they can choose from a lot of different opportunities.